Okay, welcome to part 2, where I'm going to hook up the feeders to the bus wire. What I'm using to hold my bus wire to the layout are these here. They're meant for like house wiring. So if you were going to run a house wire to an outlet or something like that, you would drive this into the 2x4 and you'd put the wire in here that just holds it, tight. They're just made out of plastic. However, for this wire, they don't really hold it tight. You can just slide the wire. So I'm using it more as a guide, and that's fine. That's what I want. That's what I want. So for NCE, you can tell I've already mounted this. All I had to do is cut a hole in the fascia for, big enough to slide the circuit board through. Attach it with 4 screws. I don't think I need to go into a lot of detail about that. It gives this little connector that you slide. Have to strip a little bit off the wires. Bus wires, you slide them into this hole. You want to make sure that you don't have so much showing out here that there's a possibility that the 2 bus wires could touch each other. So see, the white wire is fine, but this black wire, I don't know if you can see it, actually has a little bit too much there. So I'm going to cut that off a little bit with my cheapo wire cutters here. Yeah, they don't even want to cut wire. They're not very good. Alright, heck with that. Let's try these. Ah, these did better. Okay, so now when I pick it up, slide in the hole back there, I don't have any wire showing. So I take a little micro screwdriver here, tighten it down, make sure the other one's tight. Yep. Give them a little tug. This actually slides into the back of the NC. Oh darn! I goofed up. I had it out like this so I could show you. I didn't have the wires run through my last guide there. No problem. Actually, I probably been just as easy to pull the guide, but let's go ahead and stick the black one. It doesn't matter which way black or white goes in this. They're not marked on the NCE. So stick that one in. Oh, the wire got a little burgered when I pulled it out. There we go. Alright, they're in there good now. So I can just slide this in. Alright. So I'll try to keep these wires fairly straight. The reason why I like this, I don't want to fasten them down is because I want to have a little bit of play in it. The good thing about the suitcase connectors, and I'll let you DCC guy is a good guy to talk about these. Is I don't have to strip any wires. Now I don't want these to hang way down. That's why I've cut them all 6 inches long. I'm actually going to get another pair of wire cutters and I'm going to cut these off a little bit because I don't need that much space. Okay, I don't want them super tight either, but I'm going to cut a couple inches off of them. And I probably could use these to cramp them, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use a pair of channel locks. pair of channel locks, which I had a smaller pair, but this is the only pair I had. Okay. So you take your small wire, and I know you can't really see these, but you can see all the way through where the big wire goes, but the small wire, it doesn't go all the way through. So let me hook up the white one first. Okay. So the white one, you will just run it in to the end. It won't come all the way through. You take the black, or the big wire, and you're going to put it in like that. You make sure you hold these. Okay. Probably can't see what I'm doing. But you just need to make sure that that white wire is all the way at the end. And then you take your pliers and you just crush it down. Test it, it's in. Then you just close the suitcase. And that's it. So I'm going to do this all the way down. So again, the suitcase connectors, really simple way to connect them. When you don't turn this over and try to, clamp it with this, and try to push straight down on this if you can. That's some of the tips on it. So I'm going to stop here, and I'll go ahead and hook up the rest of the suitcase connectors, and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, that was really, really fast. Boy, if these things work like people say they do, I'm really regretting all the wiring that I used to have to do. On Roy Smith's Union Pacific show, where he does the question of the week, the dispatch show on Tuesday nights, he asked some interesting questions. One time he asked, what's the least favorite task of everyone? And most people said wiring. Some people say like programming locomotives or setting up consists or something. But if I remember right, by far the overwhelming majority of people said wiring. This is really easy. I did mess up 3, and 2 of them, I didn't have the thick wire snapped all the way in. And I realized that after when I went to clamp it, that it wasn't in there all the way, so I pulled it back, pulled it out, and of course I had to cut the little wire off. But that's why I didn't cut them down flush. I wanted to leave plenty of room. I want to talk a minute about overloads or shorts. If you watch some of the videos, they'll talk about short protection, because I guess, especially with DCC, is if you have a big short, say you're running a train on a loop and you're doing something else, not really pay attention, and you get a short, it sits there and shorts out. I think you can like fry all the decoders of all the engines that are on your layout somehow, because they're always all powered up. I'm not doing anything like that because I have one engine at a time on my layout, never 2. Unless, I'm testing something, I've got a new engine in for somebody and I just sit it on the track next to the other one, but I never have 2 engines. And I never can run a loop and not be paying attention. Every time the train is moving, I am watching the train. So if I have a short circuit, I'm going to find out about it right now. So I haven't put any kind of short protection in here. There's different methods of doing it. Ron, in Ron's Trains and Things, talks about people don't like his method. He uses like an automotive tail light bulb or something. And so that's why I said there's a lot of different opinions on how to wire a model railroad. But this is about as simple as it gets. Down at the end, still got a little bit of wire. I'm just going to coil it up and fasten it up underneath there in case they ever expand or whatever. These aren't going to hang down very low. You won't be able to see them. If they do, I can just take another one of these and put in here to hang it up. So it'll look good. I painted this bottom white so you could see, by the way. This door was originally just like a natural finish, and I painted it white. So not only could you see what I was doing, but also I thought it would be nice in the layout room if I ever do have to troubleshoot, I can see a little bit better up underneath there. So I'm going to flip the track, or flip it back over. I'm going to clean the track and take it into the room and see if I can run a train. Okay, I'm going to run a train for you. There's a couple things you're going to see here. Number one, I don't have a turnout. I had a defective turnout down there. It would run on the diverging route fine, but I didn't have any power going forward. So I cut the turnout out and I'm going to have to replace it. The rest of the turnouts worked fine. Again, these things have been sitting around in my garage for a couple years, and I don't know I can't remember if I bought some of them used or not. Some of them might have been, I think I had one code 55 that I found, so probably should have tested it before I did everything. So it's my fault, but anyhow, the rest of it runs fine. So I'm going to run the engine down the main line here. Something you're going to notice is my stepson got me a really nice tripod and a gimbal. So I'm playing with it. So you're going to see, a little bit. I should pan smoothly, but it's going to be a little jerky till I get used to it anyhow. So it should improve my videos anyhow. Should help me zoom in and things like that. So I apologize for that. I'll be playing with it a little bit. But then I'll talk about the turnout here at the end. So let's run a train. So somebody asked me, said I didn't comment on where I put the insulated rail joiners at. It's because I don't have any insulated rail joiners. Everything is just hooked together with rail joiners or soldered together with the rail joiners. With MicroEngineering track, it is not power routing, so you don't need insulated rail joiners. And I'll show you that when I get back down to the other end. I've got a turnout here that I'll talk about, and I am not the expert on track or handling track, and certainly electronics. But anyhow, I'll show you. I've looked on YouTube at a couple guys. Again, the DCC guy really likes these MicroEngineering turnouts, at least the HO ones. And I'm assuming that the N-scale ones are built the same way. Alright, so you have to take my word for it. All the sidings, everything worked fine. It all works good. Okay, so here's the turnout. And let me walk around in front of the camera here so I can talk about it. Okay, so I need my cheat sheet here. Basically, the stock rails are the rails that run all the way through the turnout, both ways. Those are the stock rails. The frog rails are the ones that connect to the frog here. So on MicroEngineering turnouts, these are insulated. They're not power routing. So it doesn't matter what position the point rails are in, or the switch rails, these are dead unless you feed power from this end. So the frog is insulated. It's a metal frog, but there's gaps here and here, here and here, so the frog is completely dead. You can power the frog if you add a wire and then have a switch where you can change the polarity. I'm not going to do that. You can see that the engine didn't hesitate, didn't stall. I'm not going to do that. I don't need that level of complexity in my life. As long as they run through the turnouts without hesitating smoothly, that's fine with me. So I will have to have power feeders here and here feeding back into to power these rails. And then I'll have a dead zone where the frog is, and then I'll have they'll pick up power here on these rails from this, which isn't ideal, but you know, MicroEngineering makes pretty good track, and I haven't had any problems with them in the past. The whole layout runs good. I'm not wild about that crossover still. I hate that code 80 track. I'm going to try to smooth it down. I think after I paint it, it'll be okay. You know, code 70, code 80, there's only 10/1000ths of a difference, but boy, it really stands out to me for whatever reason. It's probably just in my head. So if you have any questions or comments, let me know. But with the wiring I did, everything runs fine. And as soon as I get that turnout and I wire it back up, I'll confirm that it's good, and then I can move forward. Two things in closing. Here's the gimbal and the tripod. Again, I think it's really going to help me get rid of my shaky videos, and it actually has a mic on it, so hopefully it'll help my audio as well. The second thing is Christmas present to myself. Good wire strippers. Other ones are already in the trash. Everybody stay safe.